Hey, everybody. They call me the governor. And here we are on a special night. Now, there was no Fear the Walking Dead episode this last Sunday. So we've decided to come to you and just talk about the Walking Dead villains. You know, obviously, Rick is a big villain to me. But we have these fine people here who we are going to talk about these different villains. Some of them seem to think I'm a villain for some reason. I have no clue why. Let's have these folks introduce themselves. We will start with the person who matched her headband to the pillows.
I really
Michonne.
did. Hi, my name is Michonne. I post all of my full uncut reactions to patreon.com/MichonneReacts. And I am very excited for today because villains is one of the all-time biggest topics of discussion in the Walking Dead universe. So it's going to be good.
Absolutely. Jazz, hit us.
Hi, I'm Jazz. I'm the social media person here at Wizard World, and I am so excited for today's panel. All the bad guys, all the time. Let's go.
And you're cosplaying
Lucille.
Negan's wife, Lucille. Awesome. Sarah?
Hi everyone, I am Sarah or Mama, either is fine, and I post a bunch of
zombie trilogy as well as my last release, Business is Dead, Resurrecting Entrepreneurship, all about the fandom of Walking Dead launching their own businesses.
Awesome. And of course, I am the governor, who I am the hero of The Biting Dead, a great show in an alternate universe that apparently doesn't play here. You all think I'm a villain. And I'm going to drink from my Daryl mug. It's actually got the wings on it, which I actually won in a cosplay contest, and they gave me a Daryl mug. How dare they give me a Daryl mug? And that wasn't it. They gave me a picture of friggin' Michonne. Why Michonne? I don't get it.
Was that the planned prizes, or did they just do that to bust chops?
I don't know. Might have been planned. Might have been.
I'm thinking the latter here on that.
It was Hacksaw Jack at Walker Stalker, so it could be he was just busting my chops. But I would like to thank Wizard World for hosting this panel on this special villain reactor panel that does not tie into any specific episode because we're going to be talking about all of them. And go visit wizardworld.com, check out their new nostalgia panels coming up, and their sci-fi panels, and horrors I think almost wrapped up, but I think there may be one or two more. I don't know, Jazz, are there?
No,
but
idea. So the live chats for Harvey is this weekend, but other than that, horror's over with.
All right, but I'm sure it'll make a return at some point. But go to wizardworld.com, wizardworldvault.com for great merchandise, but stay right here to talk about villains. Now, The Walking Dead Season 1. I'd like to go by season if you guys don't mind.
Oh, yes.
Do it. Let's do it.
So Season 1,
organized.
I don't really think there was a per se villain. I mean, we had someone in there who was kind of getting on my nerves after a while. I don't think we can necessarily call Ed. Ed was an asshole. If you remember who Ed was.
Yeah.
And we had the Vatos, but they turned out to be nice guys. So I don't think Season 1 had a villain. I don't think we really had a villain until Season 2. Who would like to name the villain of Season 2?
I'd say Shane.
We all agree it's Shane?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a villain.
I'm trying to think of people who actually stood out. The first people Rick killed at the bar, do they count?
They were kind of...
They're forgettable. I forgot about them.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
They were creepy.
The first people Rick killed in the apocalypse, I don't know, but I would say Shane. Can we please talk about Shane? I love that man.
Shane was in love, man. How are you gonna? He's a villain for being in love and wanting to take out his rival.
Possessively in love, but I do want to just touch one of the actors in the bar. I think was like he was a True Blood actor, and he was just like I think he just wanted to be on the show. And they're like, well, we can put you on for about 5 minutes and then you're going to die. And, you know, that's what happened. But yeah, Shane was definitely the villain. Neil, you bring up a point. He was in love with Lori. But was he in love with Lori? I mean, obviously, he felt very possessive of her. But if you are truly in love with someone, you aren't, you're going to want their happiness. You're not going to be, if he was in love, it was not a healthy kind of love. And then he turned into, a piece of shit.
First of all,
I'll admit, when the show first started, Shane was my favorite character for whatever reason. Like when I was told you need to watch this. So like when it first started, I'm like, I love Shane. And then that just so quickly just went downhill for me because he was because you said possessive, extremely possessive.
You could say possessive, you could say protective. He was willing to do anything to protect Lori and Carl.
Let's start here. I absolutely love Shane, and I'm just disappointed in how he decided to live his last days. I'm disappointed in him, but I love Shane. You mean to tell me your best friend that you grew up with, this show, y'all like this is your dude. Y'all grew up together. Y'all went to school together. Then y'all went to trade school together to be police together. Y'all was partners together in the field. And you mean to tell me, just because his wife said, don't look at Carl, don't talk to Carl no more, it's fuck Rick. I got to murder Rick and Carl gonna love me and everything gonna be okay. What?
Exactly.
That's the only, and y'all know I don't like Lori. Lori got on my last nerve. How you gonna tell him he can't talk to Carl? That's been Carl's uncle his whole life. Leave Carl out of it.
Mm-hmm. And with that, she is done. Rocky Monster says, how perfect timing. I just watched Negan's episode. Wild Wave says it's definitely Shane. And are the Walkers count as a villain? And Deborah Ulmer says Shane had a toxic love of Lori. Phyllis says Shane was definitely a villain because he tried numerous times to kill Rick. Sarah,
I was going to say it was a toxic relationship, definitely, and I don't know. I wouldn't account on the walkers or zombies as villains because, they're more a force of nature. Yeah, it would be like calling a swarm of wasps villains because they stung you. They don't know what they're doing.
Let's keep it human.
Yeah, so they don't have choice between right or wrong. So I couldn't say them as villain. Villain, you've got to think that they have a choice and they're saying, I'm going to go the other way.
I do think that's probably why we didn't have a villain in the first season, was because it's this new introduction of, the dead are now walking around. So we don't really need this crazy psychotic person coming in threatening to kill everyone, because it's already nature is coming back in our face. We don't exactly need a human threat right now because we already have an undead threat right now.
Right. The Bidas were definitely a threat. They weren't a villain, but they were a danger, a threat. Now, the thing is, I will say that I was rewatching season 1 and seeing how Lori was interacting with Shane after, Rick came back. And she was a total bitch, I mean, Shane, yes, he took the wrong path and he decided that he should kill Rick in order to get Lori and Carl back, which I don't know that it would have worked as easily as he thought. But then again, Lori might have, because she was a bitch. But just the way she treated him. I mean, this was a man who protected her and her son, who, basically has been their rock. And he thought, I don't think that Shane didn't think Rick was, dead. I think he definitely thought Rick was dead in the hospital.
Yes, he
I don't
did.
think, there was one iota of lying or anything there. And he might have had these feelings for Lori for years. And, finally he could express those feelings without guilt, because even with a little bit of pride, because he is stepping into the role of his best friend who died, and he is, protecting his wife and child. So I do think that, Shane was pushed into being a villain by Lori. So Lori definitely contributed. She was kind of the villain of season 1, I'd say. She was a
She played them against each other. Remember when she went whispering in Rick's ear? He's threatening your family. Y'all remember that?
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, exactly. Shane thinks I'm his. Yeah, I'm his. I remember that line too.
And it's like, girl, first of all, it's been like 2 weeks. Like you busting it wide open already. Already. Rick just died. This just happened and y'all already fucking. Already off bat. Girl, please.
Yeah, well, I could see Shane's point of view is thinking, well, there's probably about 13 non-zombies left on the planet. And, so I got one. I got a really good looking girl here and I'm going to keep it because there's not going to be another coming along that's got skin anyway. So
I do think that Lori put women's lib back like centuries. I couldn't help, but notice like when Andrea wanted to learn how to shoot, and Andrea's not my favorite character. I did have her killed, but when she was wanting to learn how to shoot and help, and she's like, you should be in the house cleaning with us while the men do their job. It's like, really? Jeez,
Lori wasn't very progressive.
Now, I've read The Stand, and there was a situation in there where women found themselves in this post-apocalyptic world where people were dead. It was all about survival, drawn to like strong male characters.
Yeah.
And I could see that Lori was basically, because she apparently couldn't do shit on her own. And so she was like drawn to Shane as her protector. So she was like, if I need to spread my legs in order to, have this protection, and obviously shouldn't use any other kind of protection because Judith, but, if I need to spread my legs in order to have this man protect me, I'm going to do that. So,
well, she saw it as a transactional relationship, she was getting something out of it. He was getting something out of it.
Thank God for Carol. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't think they were thinking long term. Like there was this thing going on, but I don't think they initially thought that this was like the actual end of the world. And I'm just like, even if you weren't thinking ahead, like this is the end of the world, if you thought this was just a momentary thing, this is not a good time to get pregnant, either way it goes. It's not a good time. And you've already had a C-section with Carl, so you already kind of iffy. I'm sorry, but
I think I've said this in a different panel. That's like, would I hop in bed with my husband's best friend?
Like 2 weeks?
No.
It's a mess.
Absolutely not. But what I would not do, especially even if I was on like some like crazy, emotional bender, I had a high risk pregnancy. I'm not about to risk that again. You didn't stay like 10 foot away from me. Don't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's like, she's like, hey, Glenn, next scavenger hunt, you go into the city, pick up a pack of Trojans for me. Get one of the...
You would think so. One thing
And
that
the morning after pill
too. So
didn't she get the morning after pill and decide not to take it?
I thought she had a
believe
bunch
so.
of abortion pills.
Yeah, morning
I don't know
after
the
pill,
difference.
abortion pill.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
Anarchy Faye says Shane was actually right though. He became that person that Rick ended up having to become. I don't know that Rick ended up having to.
He wanted to kill his
he
best
wasn't
friend.
as
Save his
bad,
wife.
but he did. I'll agree with that.
And KS a Penguin 33 says, wouldn't CDC count as a villain? I wouldn't say so. It was a very temporary refuge.
Mm-mm.
And Dr. Jenner or whatever decided, forget it.
And he still did let everybody out. He was a little mentally unstable, but he still let everybody out.
Right.
Yeah, but didn't he say something in the beginning, like if you come in, once these doors open or close, they're not opening again? I think he said something like that.
He did say that.
I believe so.
And then he repeated it. I told you those doors wouldn't open again. You heard me. Yeah,
Yep.
he meant that. But he let everybody out. So
Yep. Except, what was her name? Jackie?
stayed, and Andrea was going to stay.
She wanted to stay.
But
She
Dale,
didn't
who
want- she
wanted a
didn't
little
want-
Andrea Poontang, was like, no, come with me. Is that not the impression that you got? Dale's like, no, I wanna get to know you better. I want to date you. Come on, Andrea.
No, I got that vibe too. I thought Dale was more than just looking at her like, oh, I'm fatherly to her. I got the vibe that Dale wanted to get with her too. It's not the topic of this panel, but
I didn't know what the Dale vibe was, but Dale got on my last nerve when he died. I was like, oh.
Being in the South and just being around nosy ass old men all the time, I didn't get the vibe that he was interested in her. I just got the vibe that he was a very annoying, like, oh, your life decisions. I know more than you. I'm an old white man. I know more than you.
Yeah. Say what?
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, real quick, while we ragging on Dale, one thing that Shane and Lori did do right was keep it away from Carl. That is the only thing I will give them credit for. That is the only thing they did right, was keeping it away from Carl. Yeah. He had no clue. And I still to this day don't know if Carl ever knew that his mom and daddy hit him.
Yeah, that's what I'd be curious.
Yeah.
I would be curious if Carl had any inkling that his sister was only his half sister.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I think
wow.
I mean, did he remember back and be like, well, kind of looking back on it, Dad? Yeah, when I came across, Shane bending over my mom, I kind of figured out something was different, but
Well,
he never saw it, and I think Rick took that as one of the clues too. When Rick was looking at Carl, he won't wake up. I'd have been like, "How you know that? I ain't seen you in 2 weeks. How you know that?"
Uh-huh. All right, so we've ragged on Shane. Shane met his end by Carl, death by Rick, and then second death by Carl.
Do y'all think Shane deserved it?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. At the end,
Plus, what he did to poor Otis.
That's what really pissed me off.
Too.
That's what really pissed me off. That was when I had it with him. Yeah.
I mean, Otis did shoot Carl,
But that was an accident, though. What Shane did was on purpose.
Yeah, Shane, but it does go to show, if you're running from like a hungry lion, you don't have to be faster than the lion. You got to be faster than the guy next to you.
The other guy. Yep.
Thanks. Because he had hurt his ankle. He said, "Fuck this," by Otis.
Well, we actually saw that if you guys watched Black Summer, which I thought was just fantastic. And Black Summer 2 is coming out soon. But and I don't want to give away any spoilers if you haven't seen it, but there's a very similar situation that happens at the last episode of Black Summer.
I think I watched the first episode and I just haven't gotten back to it. It's not that it wasn't good. It's just there's so much to watch.
That's true.
All right, let's move on to season 3. And who would you say the villain of season 3 is? I'd vote Rick, but that's just me. What do you guys say?
Well, is it again,
Penny? Don't you be talking about my daughter that way.
I mean, so looking at the perspective of the viewers as we've been watching the series, I would say the governor. However, there could be an argument made that the villain in that is Rick and Michonne because
what
of
Rick do to the governor.
Say that again.
What Rick do to the governor?
It's just
Rick moved in next door. That was all Rick did.
Well, I'm just saying on the perspective of the governor. Though.
How dare you move next door to me?
He invaded my territory.
I love me some Rick. Come on, give me a break here.
He invaded my territory.
Relate to that. Get off of my land.
And we've talked about this before, and I think the governor. I've said this on another panel where I felt the governor, the television version, not the comic book version, had the most amazing story arc, and definitely wasn't a pure villain. He did some bad stuff, but if you say, well, like when he killed the National Guardsman, there was no reason for that other than to protect his fiefdom, of which he did not want to be challenged by anybody.
You will respect my authority.
Yeah, exactly. But then for the people that lived in Woodbury, they did not see a villain at all. They were seeing a hero, a savior, someone that created stability out of chaos. So, and we saw, but through when he was stripped away of everything, and then lost and was stripped down to nothing, and then he gets discovered and he finds his family, his goodness comes out. So you do see that protector in him, because he is a natural protector. And then he gets back into his natural element. He always seems to take that role as savior, protector, and goes too far.
Well, the problem
he
is
was trying to find a cure. You could tell because of what he was doing to help Penny up until
Michonne killed my daughter. But here's the thing. In season 4, when I ran into that group, they were led by idiots. So it's like it was self-preservation and protecting my family to eventually take over. Because first of all, Martinez wasn't a good leader. And then the guy who, I don't even remember his name. What was it?
He was fine as hell, though.
You got to watch Dollhouse so you can fantasize about hiring him. Anyway, the second leader was an idiot, so I had to put him down. So I had to take over because of incompetent leadership. But I do want to hit the chat real quick. Michael and Lord Zachary Burnett say the first best villain was definitely good old Merle.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And
how did I forget about Mr.
I love me some Merle Dixon.
I mean, Merle was a good henchman for me. I don't see him as a villain in season 1. I see him as an idiot in season 1. And
he was a villain in season 1. He don't like black people. You forgot.
No. In fact,
yeah, he was definitely.
I had plans to do like a fan film, which was like the governor and Schumpert and Martinez finding Merle and helping him, and then him sassing off to Schumpert because of his color, and the governor basically slamming him against the tree by his throat and saying, "There is no, black and white and Hispanic. None of that matters. There's the living, and then there's the biters. And if you can't handle that, then we're going to feed you to the biters," and just basically put him in his place. Because after that, he seemed to chill out a little bit with the throwing around that N-word.
What do y'all think made Merle follow the governor? I forgot. I can't believe I forgot about Merle. What do y'all think?
Because he helped him with his arm problem. So Rick handcuffed him in season 1, and he basically sawed off his hand to get out of the handcuffs. And we hadn't seen him until he shows up with the governor with his little stabby knife arm thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they did. I had a feeling they didn't do much of a backstory on Merle, but I just kind of felt like he probably served in the military. He seemed like a guy probably came out of high school, went right into the military.
I would say so.
And then when you meet someone like the governor, Merle is going to probably follow someone who has actually stronger will than him. And he probably would have ended up falling in line under Rick given longer time, but governor found him first.
That is a fact.
You know what?
Rick.
I'm going to have 2 unpopular opinions here because I just now remembered something. I was actually talking to my friend about this the other day. I would actually classify Merle and Daryl both as villains in the first season because, first off, Merle was just a complete racist asshole. He did as much as he could to like antagonize the group. It was like racial slurs.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't only towards black people. I'm pretty sure he said something to Morales as well.
Merle was white trash.
Yeah, like he and he said something to Andrea too. He called her some name or something.
He called her sugar.
Yeah. There we go.
And Rooker does that in real life too.
So then on top of that, when Daryl realizes, oh my gosh, my racist brother is gone. You people are awful. You need to lead me to them. How dare you be like this? And like the whole time that they're taking him to Merle, like they're out of the goodness of their heart, they could have just said, go find him. we're not helping. Bye. Honestly, that's what I would have did. I'm like, dude, your brother's racist. Bye. Like, you know, go on with yourself. But they, out of the kindness of their heart, they let him there. But on top of that, what was it that Daryl said? That Merle and him were planning on robbing the group anyway and leaving?
Yes. That's what they were going to do when they saw them. Before they joined them, they were going
exactly. They were going to rob. So I would definitely make an argument that maybe not like total villains because they didn't get to, but at least antagonists at some level. And also when it comes to the governor, I know considering what we've had that this might be a crazy statement, but I would probably classify him as the scariest villain that we've had, because at least with, you know, like Alpha and Negan, there are rules. Hey, anybody moves, I'm going to kill somebody else. Hey, I want half your stuff. I'm laying out the ground rules. Don't pass this border. Don't do A, B, and C. With Governor, it was just like, are you serving a purpose for me? No. Are you on my side? Well, I don't really care.
Are you screwing up and running away from a prison? Well, then I'm going to gun you down.
I was
hard to find good help.
Unpredictable. It's crazy unpredictable with the governor. So he just scared me a bit more than everybody else.
Sarah, you are not alone, and you know I love me some Daryl. I am absolutely positively a part of the Daryl fan club, but I definitely agree. That's facts.
I think that Daryl was basically very loyal to Merle. Merle kind of, and it wasn't until he got out of Merle's shadow that he really, you know, and hooked up with Rick, who was, believe it or not, I don't believe I'm saying this about Rick, was a more positive role model than Merle, and basically dealt with him with, you know, some type of honor.
Daryl and Merle did grow up with a considerable amount of abuse in their life and just like really negative, toxic stuff. So it does take a lot to grow out of that. And I think that there's definitely a certain level of like brainwash that Daryl was at that point in time. He was very much like just lashing out at everyone and everything if it didn't go his way. At least now he's a bit more like calm about things. Maybe not during the Savior arc, but you know.
Daryl had a big chip on his shoulder in the beginning of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
definitely.
If you would listen, like over the years, just the random stories he told about.
I would say that and he had a lot of blue meth.
Oh yeah,
the drugs didn't help. The drugs didn't help.
He had the coke, the pills. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Say my name. Say my name.
Although Daryl did
Heisenberg.
bad, he never went to the extremes that Merle did. Like if you even listen to the stories he's told over the years, like the one where they were fishing and Merle was drunk, obviously, and he fell and Daryl saved him because he was drowning, and he said, "You idiot, go get the beer." That fell over. Like just you can't win.
Yeah, realistically,
he did try on the end. He tried, but
So Michael and Lord Zachary Burnett say Tomas and Andrew and the prisoners were villains. I mean, Lou Temple, I wouldn't say as much of a, you know, his character Axel was not much of a villain.
Axel wasn't a villain at all. He didn't want no problems.
No, and not all the prisoners. There was the one that was, and you don't know, and it comes down to the definition of a psychopath who can't control himself, who's just killing people because that's what he does. Is he a villain? Yeah. Well, you know, like the governor can choose. I'm going to kill this person because I felt disrespected, versus a psychopath that's in prison that doesn't know anything but cutting people's heads off. That's all he does. So is a villain? Well, I don't know.
If y'all think that was bad, read the comics. Woo, yeah. I digress.
Well, Phyllis says the governor didn't have to attack the prison. He was the villain. I disagree, because this huge militant armed group right on the border of my township, I saw it as a preemptive strike.
Can't risk it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's lots of groups of survivors. If Rick had come to me, you know, with his group and petitioned for entry into Woodbury, I might have considered letting them in, but you know, he decided to move into the prison, which I was assured by Merle they couldn't clear.
Rick's introduction to you was kidnapping Michonne and kidnapping Glenn and Maggie. I mean, so Rick was already like, fuck the governor off bat. Glenn and Maggie was gone. They never made it back, and Michonne just so happened to witness it. So, yeah.
And it just so happened that maybe Merle is more of a villain because I did not give him instructions to capture these people.
Merle did
You
start.
know, he did, if he had just let them be and came back and reported, hey, I spotted a couple people that I used to know. Let's do some scouting. It might have been a whole different situation. But Ms. Kayla says that she fell so in love with Daryl when she first saw him on The Walking Dead. It's crazy. I would say it's crazy because watching him in season 1, oh my God, he was an idiot. He was just this loudmouth punk. Now he's got at least some sense, but...
well, if you see Daryl at a Comic-Con, don't bite him.
No. That's...
Please leave Norman alone.
Yeah, especially don't do it in front of Rooker. It's going to be like, what the fuck was that? Yeah, he was during a friggin' photo op.
Yep.
That was done.
So,
Iraqi Monster says at the end
on?
of the day, the governor is alive and he's reading this comment. I'm kind of alive. Colin Lyle says X found the governor kind of stupid because he killed his people and got some more people and got them killed too. Well, I killed the people who failed me.
I was just about to say one thing about the governor, excuse me. He is one of the funniest villains we've ever had. You're so mad that the civilians bitched out. You slaughtered them. Like, that is hilarious. He was so mad. He slaughtered them all in the road. Like, that is so funny to me. He was
obviously.
Well, I think there was another villain who had, I think, a better sense of humor. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Well, I ain't talking about sense of humor, but Negan got the best sense of humor if we talking about villains.
Yeah, well, Negan has Negan is funny, but there was one that was a very brief villain that just had some classic lines, classic delivery, wasn't around long enough to be explored. Gareth,
who's next on our list?
The guy, he's so polite. Let's have the Archer. Now I forgot all the names that he called them.
There was the kid, oh gosh, what was it?
I don't remember the name.
Samurai was Michonne.
Samurai, the Archer,
Rick.
Pied Piper or something like that. But, he was just as polite and dry and civil as could be.
Terminus was.
He didn't play with his food.
Yeah.
Right? Terminus was after the governor, and that is the definition of letting the world spoil you. They are the definition of that because they weren't that. Never had been that in their life, but they let the world spoil them, and they was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, I love that scene. I don't know if they even gave the character name, but he was in the little wood shack, and he was talking.
In the train car,
the Tyrese and Judith.
Yeah, and he was saying, I used to go to church. I used to do this. Now I'm a cannibal who's about to slaughter an infant and you and all your friends and eat you. But I still remember going to church. I still remember this. I still remember all that. And he was kind of reminiscing, how did I get to this point? But it is what it is. Now we know how they got to that point, but they all broke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you run into Tasha Yar from Star Trek, she's still alive. She's been through so many wormholes by this point. She was mad. I blame her. I blame Mary. No, I did think that the Terminus folk were interesting, and I have to admit I like
in from all over the place. It wasn't even just whoever they came across. That was their routine. They went out of their way. They lured people there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That made it even
Those
worse.
who arrive survive.
Exactly.
In my belly.
Well, I will say I do believe they said. I'm not saying that this is true. It could just be a load of complete and utter bullshit. But wasn't it initially meant to be like a safe haven, but then like bad people showed up.
Yeah,
so they had to do that stuff to survive.
Yeah, they wanted a safe haven. They were, let's be like Rick and welcoming, and then they let the wrong ones in.
Exactly.
And after being brutalized for a couple of weeks, they never really explained how they got the upper hand. But they did. But at that point, they were broken, and then they said basically, "You're the butcher or you're the cattle," and they chose to be the butchers.
It didn't look like they had a lot of people either. It was just like the older lady and a couple of young guys and a couple of young girls.
I think they probably had, because if you look at, who survived and got away from Carol and all them, there was at least, like 8 to 10 people around that campfire all chowing down on good old Bob. Tainted
Can
meat.
we talk about how great that line was, by the way? Tainted meat. That was just...
Right from the comics, though it was Dale's death that Bob took.
Yep.
Hit the chat after the governor. Penny Wilson says Negan is the best villain. I would say definitely after the governor.
Negan's definitely the most dynamic because he's a little bit of almost everything. Like
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Bebe Rose, welcome, fellow reactor.
Hey.
Best TWD villain, got to go with Alpha. The horror element that she brought to the show was on another level. Her opinion. Alpha was definitely an excellent villain. Ms. Kayla says Alpha was disgusting and scary.
Mm-hmm.
KS, the Penguin 33 says, what is the panel's favorite survive a kill by a villain? Favorite kill. I know Sean's like, oh, definitely Glenn.
Wait, first of all, I will literally cry right now. Like, I literally, like, Walking Dead has fucked me up so much. Like, baseball bats aren't even for a sport anymore. Like, I can't. That's favorite kill that a villain has done, or favorite, or like one of our people killing the villain.
I think it's by a villain killing somebody else. So
you got to give me a second.
For me, you just mentioned it. It's Gareth eating Bob while he's alive, keeping him alive.
Yeah.
To eat him.
When Negan killed Alpha, that just did it for me. I can't think of when I was happy.
That's my favorite, even though it's not really I guess that I don't know. Like, it depends on how you want to describe Negan in this moment, because I mean, he is a bad guy, but he's with us at this point.
But also define favorite, because that's very sadistic.
Yeah, of course, Sarah has multiple.
I'm just like thinking of all the ones I love so much.
Like, did you like it when Beta just slid his knife up a Thora Birch? I was so
yes. Oh my God. I was so shook in that moment because I wasn't expecting it. I was just like, oh my God.
I knew she was gonna die, but I didn't know it was gonna happen like that.
And then also one of the I'm gonna say funny and favorite ones is just Beta yeeting Laura into the jail cell wall and breaking her back and killing her instantly. He just
that was something that, though, I gotta say, Miss Laura.
Yeah.
My favorite kill was when it was actually from Negan, when Spencer was trying to convince him to like take Rick out. And he's like, you ain't got no guts. My mistake. There they are. Right there.
That was funny. Rosita was so mad, but it was funny. Because I already didn't like, I like that.
And they did that in one take. So it had to be one take because they had the whole bag. And, and Jeffrey actually did have a shortened knife with a, sharp edge to cut open and release all that stuff. Because, Austin, what's his name? He's a nice guy in real life. I had the pleasure of interviewing him, and he was definitely that was an impressive death. So, Kyle Lyle says, when the Whisperer killed Jesus, that's his fave.
First of all, that's what we're not gonna do.
Well, I tell you what. Let me ask you. would you consider Lizzy, the young girl who met her end looking at the flowers, to be a villain?
Yeah, that little girl was crazy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
She killed her sister.
And she was gonna kill Judith too.
But she was sick. She wasn't necessarily a villain. She was a very sick little girl. She was a danger.
First of all, she was about to stab Carol. Like, bitch, I wish you would touch my sister. We're gonna let her turn. Like she was that girl was a villain. I'm sorry.
I think she was a nutcase.
She went from she was okay. She was already crazy feeding rats to the walkers, and then you're gonna kill your sister. You just had to take it there, really.
Well, you know, if you got a rat problem,
it had to be your sister and then Judith.
Got a rat problem.
Got a rat problem, you know, why just kill them when you can provide, you know, a service?
Lizzy's pest control.
Literally.
Exactly. KS of Penguin 33 says Alpha and Beta were the best villains by far. I have to say they were creepy as hell. What I did not like, jumping forward to Alpha, was her lack of honor.
Yeah.
We're kind of we're jumping around here because we're missing out on Joe with the claimers. You know,
that didn't happen until at the terminus, right? When everybody got
that was before terminus, I believe, because that was on at least for Rick's. I remember that was when Rick and Daryl met up before they met up with everybody else, and he got the jugular of Joe.
Yeah, ripped out Joe's jugular, which
was a great scene too, man. That's one of the epic ones right there.
I mean, when your child is threatened, I'm sure Mama will agree with this.
Do what you got to do.
All our best favorites.
That is a part of Savage Rick's best moments. Fuck all the claimers.
Mm-hmm.
Because they rape people, and that's just like they played around with it. Like you really had to watch. Like remember when they found Michonne's shirt in the house, and the way they started talking about women, I was like, oh hell no. Nah. And then when one of them was on Carl, all you heard was a belt unbuckling. Like it was just a little like you had. They never said it, but you had to catch it. Fuck all them.
So one thing I'll have to say about Negan is he did not abide by rape. You know, and I know he would not have abided by, you know, pedophilia.
Negan was just the most self-centered by far. He created.
Didn't Negan have like 6 wives?
I think 6 is a low number, but technically they consented. That might have been under some duress.
Whenever you have to say technically, there's going to be a problem.
They didn't want to.
Well, it was either have sex with Negan or my husband and child are murdered. Yeah, it's a little consensual, I guess. She didn't have a choice.
Well, we don't know, other than Sherry, who we all dislike anyway, who basically agreed to be one of Negan's wives to save Dwight. We don't know the situation with the others. You know?
I know for some, I don't know if it was for all. I know it was either go work and be the people that don't even have names. They had numbers, like the people that work downstairs in the basement, whatever those people were. It was either work or stay up here and be cute and fuck me. So I don't know.
I mean, what would you do?
Well, remember, didn't they try to get? They tried to get
Eugene
to make
a poison for the girl to kill herself or something, but they were going to use it to kill Negan. So
yeah, they was lying, saying that she wanted to kill herself. They was about to fuck Negan up.
Yeah, so they weren't consensual. They didn't just say, "Man, this guy's hot."
They was plotting.
This hot apocalypse guy. By the way, I love the fact that in the villain icon and that they
now have Lizzy right in the middle.
We do.
Yeah, that look girl.
That was quick.
Thank you, Mike. But yeah, I mean, there were some other villains beyond that we kind of skipped through. There was Dawn and her bunch of people were basically like the most toxic cops ever to like survive.
He was letting people get away with murder.
Dawn? Absolutely. And she was letting these, you know, I don't want to disparage police officers because there are a lot of great police officers out there who do their job, do their duty, who put their lives on the line, and it's great. There are some who let that authority go to their heads. And it seemed that Dawn gathered pretty much a whole group of those who let that authority go to their heads. And now that the world was ended, became even worse for it.
Free for all.
You know, if they're going to act that way when there is a structure, there is a government, there is some potential accountability, when there is none, you know, it was just...
Well, you also saw at the end when the reason Shane had to abandon Rick is because the military came in and then they just started slaughtering. They rounded up all the doctors and nurses and just slaughtered them right there on their way out the door.
Shane did his best.
What was it?
Shane did his best.
No, I know, but why was the military doing? You know, everybody at that point had lost their fucking mind. You know, there was no good, bad. You know, it just
of the illness. That's why I could never be in the army, because if there's an illness and they tell you to go slaughter everybody because anybody could be sick, oh hell no, I couldn't do it. I ain't cold-blooded.
Yeah, we saw a little bit like of an inside look on World Beyond with Huck because she was in the military, and I mean they gave her those orders and she said, well then I'm gonna kill all of my fellow military members instead of killing all these innocent people that I just saved. So
I respect her so much for that.
Yeah,
they do it. She turned around and slaughtered her whole team.
Yep.
Then cut herself to remind herself. I didn't know she cut herself. That part fucked me up.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, can't believe it.
But when you think about it, everyone rags on little old me for taking out the National Guard, but I had dealings with the National Guard before, and before I took over Woodbury, they were in charge, and they were basically abusing their power. So I took it back from them. I wasn't going to have that happen again, bring in a bunch of National Guardsmen, and then a week later they decided, well, we have the guns, we have the training, we're going to take over. Hell no. So, yeah, so stop ragging on me about those poor National Guardsmen.
Right, real quick. I always thought it was so funny because they were literally in their helicopter minding their own business. And y'all was like, bitch, fuck you.
No, they crashed on their own.
What?
You know, we found that one guy and then, but he just led us to the rest of his people. And I was able to end up with a lot of extra vehicles and weapons.
and supplies.
Which... unfortunately, after Merle took out my best men and I had the B squad, they screwed up with all that stuff that we had. So I think I deserved killing them because they really screwed things up. Let's see. So Ms. Kayla says, Jonah's group were annoying to me. I'm glad Rick went cray-cray on them. I mean, I can't blame Rick on that. Phyllis says best kill by a survivor. Daryl stabbing Beta in the eyes.
The death was glorious, according to Beta. He gives it a 10 out of 10.
Yes. He was like, come, chew on me. The wolves are insane.
I love the stabbing eyes part, but I just absolutely detest that there was no fight whatsoever.
Yeah.
There was no what whatsoever?
There was no fight.
Oh.
There was no fight. It was just like 2 seconds done. And I just feel like for a bigger villain of that caliber, there should be more than just like, oh, dead.
Well, they did have a fight before, and, you know, Daryl knocked him down an elevator shaft. I mean, in reality, you don't want to ever fight somebody. You want to put them down as quick as possible. So I have to admire that Daryl actually did that.
He was literally, he caught a glimpse of Negan, and Beta's all his gears shifted to, I'm about to fucking end him right now. Daryl caught him slipping in them 2 seconds.
You know, I do think that we may have to do another villains thing because we're getting close to the end.
It's too many of them.
Iraqi Monster says, what about Nicholas? Is he referring to...
Who is he?
Nicholas got on my lap. Nicholas is a bitch.
Thank you.
What'd you say?
Nicholas, isn't Nicholas thank you?
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Dumpster scene. Okay.
Yeah. Tries to murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Michael.
wasn't so much a villain as an idiot.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I didn't see him as
literally a bitch ass nigga. Y'all talk all this big shit, and then y'all abandon y'all group all the time on runs, and that's why people keep dying when they go on runs.
Sean, since you said that, now I can't retweet this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Too
soon. Too soon. Phyllis says Simon was a big villain and killed the men of Oceanside.
I'm glad to see him gone. Bye-bye.
Wait, we still got to do Porch Dick Pete.
Yep, Porch Dick Pete. Which, have you ever heard the Ballad of Porch Dick Pete? Where Corey Brill did a video and he sang a song and, says one little thing, Sass and Rick, and suddenly he's Porch Dick Pete. It's a really cool song. You should actually look it up. When I put this on replay, I will definitely link to the Porch Dick Pete song. Corey Brill, I will say this about the actors who play these villains. In general, the nicest people you want to meet. John Bernthal, great guy. A little focused on being the Punisher, but great guy. David Morrissey's great. Corey Brill, awesome. Jeffrey Dean, let me put a sword to his throat. Come on. What?
Well, we didn't even talk about the wolves. They're,
People first though.
That was kind of like a weird thing to me, though, because it was like, okay, we got the wolves, and it just kind of nothing really came of it, which was kind of weird.
It was
they attacked. They came in.
Well, yeah, but I guess I was just expecting more from that than what we got, I guess.
Before we even get to Porch Dick Pete and the wolves, can we talk about how Morgan was a villain at a certain point in time when he went cuckoo?
Yeah, the clear Morgan.
True.
Morgan was murdering anything breathing. There was no conversation, no
absolutely. Nothing. He would have killed Rick.
Literally. If Rick didn't have some help, it was over.
Now, for a while, I got the impression that they were setting up Enid to be some kind of villain, that she was some kind of spy. Because when she came in, and like during the time of the wolves, she said, you do things that you don't want to do. And I don't think she was referring to just eating turtles. I think she was I thought that she had joined the community to lead the wolves in. She was one of them or something. I just got some vibes, and maybe they just changed their mind, but
that's not yes, but Enid was a broken child. Leave that girl alone.
And then she got a head on a pike. Too soon? Is that too soon?
Sarah and Enid were the only the pikes I cared about. So there's that.
Yeah, but I thought Enid was a good character, but I did get some vibes early on that she was, there was something off about her, that she was actually working with somebody.
If you ever interview her, that'd be interesting, because sometimes they create these characters with the plot in mind, and then they say, holy cow, the audience is reacting in a different way than we anticipated to this character. Let's make her good, or let's make her evil and see what happens. So be interesting to see if that was the plan. It's funny.
I would like to see her go more evil. I think that would have been really interesting to see, but we got for Enid, but we ended up getting what we got. That would have been actually really interesting.
I don't know how far ahead they write the scripts. I don't even know.
Yeah, but they can probably shift these things. It's funny. I just watched, and it was one of the funniest things I ever said. And I know I don't want to rag on it because a lot of people are, but Army of the Dead, I think it's Screen Rant, is it, or Screen something, just did a true trailer or realistic trailer. And they talked about, and I didn't even realize it until they're making fun of it, all the things that they hinted at in Army of the Dead, and then never got there. Like, you thought this is the direction they were going to go, or they hinted that they were going to do something like this, and it never got there. And that's the kind of way I felt like with Enid and several of the characters. You thought it was leading somewhere, and suddenly it just ended. Wait, like Gareth was killed so fast, but several of the characters, you thought they were building to something, and then they're just gone.
Yeah, well, I think they also had to kind of rush through. They were trying to get to certain things quickly. So where we could have had more time with the wolves. I mean, the wolves did some horrible things. I actually, if you remember the wolves escorting that hiker that Daryl and
Poncho
Aaron. Yeah, I actually know Poncho Guy. I worked with him in a fan film. And he was just like let in by the wolves into that compound to get chomped on and become one of them. But I do think we're going to have to do another villains thing. Maybe after we see what happens with our newest favorite villain, played by the incredible John Glover, Teddy, in Fear the Walking Dead, because we haven't even gotten through all the Walking Dead
We
villains.
only made it to season 5. We only made it to halfway through the show. This and another thing with the villains is like they do this shit to hurt our feelings. So it's like a lot of stuff is just gonna happen so you can feel it. Beth, blam, like they want to hurt our feelings.
A lot of people were like very upset with Beth, and it amazes me. I mean, one thing I'll say about The Walking Dead is when someone dies, I mean, if you don't see a body, there's a possibility like Daniel, he could come back, and he did. Madison, we didn't see a body. A lot of people are like, possibly she's coming back. I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Well, whatever happened to the kid from the season 1 who knew it was
Tobias.
coming? What was his name?
Tobias.
Where is he? If anyone,
That's
I
who
think
I
he's
want
involved
back.
in other shows, but yeah, I don't know if he's survived.
Somewhere in his bunker. I don't know.
Well, he's probably
just
got
set up.
lots of knives.
He's somewhere in a fallout shelter of some kind.
He just has it made somewhere. He's not coming out anytime soon.
We should get him on the next villains panel.
no,
Lincoln
you should have
Castellanos.
you should have one on just people who there was no closure.
Where is Heath?
Yeah, what happened? Where are they now?
We may see Heath when we see the movies with
Exactly, but
Rick the Prick. But we are into overtime, so yes, I think we're going to have to do this again. Maybe after the end of season 6, and maybe we'll do a couple more, just talking about various aspects.
well, we have to start off with Pete next time. Then we didn't get to talk about Pete.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about Porch Dick Pete.
I do want to say, Porch Dick Pete, that drunk, I cosplayed him at Wizard World Boston. And I was walking around with an empty beer bottle, pretending I was drunk. So many calls got called into hotel security to have me removed because there's some drunk guy walking around. And actually, the head of Walker Stalker Security saw me talking to Corey at his table, perfectly fine. And then a couple comes over, and I go into my drunk mode, and he's like, oh, he's acting. He's acting. It's fine. But, yeah, I almost got kicked out of a Walker Stalker con for cosplaying Porch Dick Pete.
Good times. I miss cons.
Me too.
They are coming back. They are coming back. Right, Jazz?
Eventually, yep. We're stuff's in the works, but just stay tuned is all I can say.
Yep. I'm going to my first. I'm going to a con next weekend or this coming weekend, and then that's more local, and then end of July starts
So far, do you think that all of the villains are dead up until Porch Dick Pete deserved it?
Are you saying Porch Dick Pete didn't
I
deserve
said
it?
all of the villains up that we just talked about up till where we got it to Pete. Like, do you think 1 through 5, like the beginning of 5 so far, do you think they all deserved it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say. Except for me, because I was not a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Negan hasn't gotten his comeuppance yet.
Negan is an
needs to
owl
be
by
coming
himself.
up.
You see how long we talked about Shane? Just imagine we've had way more time with Negan than Shane. So just imagine.
Well, all right, let's go around. Final thoughts. I'd say name your favorite villain and why in like 3 or 4 words. And then we will continue this discussion at another time. And of course, do some shameless self-promotion. Jazz, favorite villain?
I'm gonna go Negan, obviously. I don't. There's something about him. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
You look
And
like
I will say also, just when you meet these people, don't be jerks to them. They're just actors. They're doing their job.
I agree.
And you can find me on Instagram at JAZZY Diva sorry, I'm like cutting out a little bit over here. So let me try that again. So it's Jazzy Diva with 3 Z's on Instagram, or you can find me here at Wizard World on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
I just want to interject. Somebody thought that after we had ragged on Sherry so much the other episode, and then Jazz was talking about don't blame the actors for the characters. We have nothing against the actress who plays Sherry.
We've stated this multiple times. Do y'all know how to listen? Listen.
We love our actors
and whatever
so
that
much.
Yep.
is not the same person.
Exactly. It's, they are playing a part. If they are being hated by us, it's
Then they're doing their job perfectly.
Yep.
And that's what it's supposed to do. All right. Michonne, shameless self-promotion and favorite villain.
Okay. My name is Michonne. All of my full uncut reaction videos are on patreon.com/Michonne Reacts. I will be starting Game of Thrones soon. Y'all have asked me 800 million times, and I'm only doing it because it's one of the most popular shows ever. And my favorite villain is, of course, Negan. Now, the thing with Negan is he's so dynamic. Like, have y'all not watched every episode he's ever been in? There is no one note. It's like, he's bad when he want to be. He good when he want to be. But you never really know where he could go. But I love me some Negan. Love me some Negan. Love me some Jeffrey. All of it.
All right. We can't be friends anymore. Go on, Sarah.
I am at Mom and Dad Head on every social media. Go follow me there. My favorite villain is Beta. I love Beta. Unstoppable force. Incredible badass, just all around crazy. I've never seen a villain quite like the Whisperers before. I mean, I'll lump the whole group in. So every single time Beta was on screen, like I just couldn't take my eyes away. And he also beat Daryl's ass, so can't complain there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know you was living for it. Meanwhile, I was
right.
Oh, well, it's nice when like a character, like the big characters, big heroes, hardly ever get like a true moment of like, oh my god, like are they really gonna make it? When typically you just know they're gonna make it. So it's fun to see him be smacked around a bit. That reaction of mine has the most dislikes out of any of them, and I got so many death threats. Great time.
By the way, don't threaten your reactors because they have opinions about characters that don't exist. Damn it. All right. And stop disliking my Justice League Snyder Cut video too, just because I point out some of the weird stuff that he threw in there for no sensible reason. Neil, favorite villain, why, and shameless self-promotion.
Well, I would say if he's considered a villain, Merle, just simply because Michael Rooker is just such an amazing actor, character, passion. He brought it to life. It was very realistic. I thought it was a layered performance of him. But then if he's not one of the villains, then the governor, because what I said, and a TV governor, not the comic book governor, just because I love that arc and I could kind of definitely relate to his story arc. I thought it was great. For me, you can find me on all social media at Exit Zero Zombie. That's the @ Exit Zero Zombie spelled out, and that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on my website, businessisdead.com. Businessisdead.com.
All right. And I'd have to say my villain that I really despise the most is Rick Grimes.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
He is the worst villain. He invaded my territory without permission. He, basically terrorized a priest in his own church. He's done all kinds of stuff. He basically was hitting on this guy's wife, and when he objected, he beat him in the street. So he's done a lot of nasty things. So Rick Grimes is my villain I love to hate, and I can't wait to see him get his comeuppance. Damn it. And anyway, you can find me on The Governor Reacts on Fandom Spotlite. And you can also find us at fandomspotlight.com. And because of some personnel changes over at Skybound, they have not been doing the reactions. So I took on the mantles temporarily of maybe forever of doing Walking Dead reaction compilation. So you can go to Fandom Spotlight on YouTube to see the one for 6x14. Everyone's like, where's 6x13? Fine, I'm working on it. Shut the hell up. It'll get there. And tune in next week when we actually talk about Fear the Walking Dead once again. Again, thanks to Wizard World. Go to wizardworld.com. Check out everything that they've got going on with their nostalgia and sci-fi panels. Go to wizardworldvault.com for merchandise. And follow them at Wizard World on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And follow all these fine folks. And we will see all you guys out there next week. Stay out of trouble. Governor and crew, out.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.